What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast. Katie Mox and Will Brinson here, joined with our Pick Show squad, Emory Hunt and Propstarz, Alex Selelnick from Sportsline. This episode of Pick Six is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. The last episode, the Super Friends went off on the NFL regular season finale. Breach, Wilson, and Brinson broke down the full Josh Allen experience. And oh, did we experience that last night, and questioned Dan Campbell's player management. You can watch that episode on our YouTube channel or the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, feel free to hit subscribe on both. And Brinson, there is also a bunch of emergency pods coming out today for Black Monday, correct?
We got one. We did a Ron Rivera emergency pod. Arthur Smith got fired while we were waiting for, I feel bad. I can't ever tell if Ryan Wilson's just like thinks he's too good for me, or like no, or like he's just grumpy, or like what's it? Nah, I'm mostly kidding. But Wilson was like an hour late because of an HQ issue, and we were like sitting there waiting, and we just finally started, and then like I was hosting, and I saw him pop into the StreamYard, and I said something. I don't know if he knew I was kidding or not. He was like he was grumpy. It was late. But yeah, Arthur covered Arthur Smith on that episode, and I could go off in any kind of random tangents at any point of the show. And then we did a Ron Rivera emergency episode. Obviously, if anybody else gets fired, we had 3 emergency firings during the season. Anybody else gets fired this week, we'll have a show. I think we get a surprise one on Monday night, and then a big boy, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. Big fish.
Wow. Like a Belichick or something?
Yeah, like a Belichickian. Yeah.
Okay.
The salmon of Capistrano.
Yeah, so stay tuned if you're in the chat or if you're listening to the audio version. There will be emergency pods out for all of your Black Monday and possibly Tuesday needs. Brinson and the Super Friends are all over that. So keep it locked right here. We will take a look at some recaps for week 18, certainly the betting ones. Home went 8-6 against the spread. Favorites also 8-6 against the spread. Home favorites 5-3 against the spread. Unders 7-6 against the spread. We're going to do some early leans and stuff here on the super wild card weekend. But Brinson, there's some interesting little facts I see here about the playoffs. Would you like to go through some?
Sure. I was actually just reading them. No rookie quarterback has ever started in a Super Bowl. CJ Stroud would be the first, obviously. He's already the first rookie to lead the NFL in passing yards per game and touchdown to interception ratio in the Super Bowl era. The last quarterback to win a Super Bowl in the same season as his first career playoff start. Does anybody know? Have you guys looked?
Ben Roethlisberger?
Oh, no. No, they won in 2005. Tom Brady, 01.
Oh,
yeah.
That makes sense.
DJ Stroud, Tua Tagovailoa, first career playoff start. Yeah, that's right. Because I think Big Ben made it to the conference championship as a rookie. They had that big run, and then he won the Super Bowl the following. Yeah. So Stroud, Tua, Jordan Love, and Mason Rudolph all making their first career playoff starts. One thing to note is that typically speaking, against the spread, straight up first time starts, and I mean, it's pretty basic. It's not like a convoluted formula here. Your first playoff start is way more intense than your first regular season start. I mean, you were starting in the NFL playoffs for the first time. You're getting everything from the defensive coordinator on the other side, and typically speaking, those quarterbacks have struggled straight up and against the spread. Last team to win a Super Bowl with the NFL's number 1 rushing offense was anyone?
Well, I've already looked at it. The 1985 Bears.
85 Bears. The Ravens led this season, of course, and then the last team to win a Super Bowl. Last team to win a Super Bowl and a rushing title in the same season. Terrell Davis in 1998. Spicy. Christian McCaffrey obviously won this year. So some fun Super Bowl playoff facts to think about. The first year starter, the rookie quarterback thing, ain't no joke, man. That's legit.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about on the pod, but the last time a rookie quarterback won a playoff start, I think, was Russell Wilson. He was against RG3 in 2012. So there you go.
Very interesting. All right, well, let's take a look at the super wild card games. The first one, the Browns are laying 3 at the Texans. This total 44.5. This goes right into that narrative, that little fact that you just gave us about rookie quarterbacks. But CJ Stroud has kind of exceeded so many expectations of a rookie quarterback. He doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. He's 6-3 versus teams entering with a winning record this season, 9-4 in his last 13 starts. I kind of like the Texans playing a little upset here because if you look at the way that the Browns play on the road, it's not the same as at home. Emory, what do you think?
You know, I do like the Texans here as well. I also like the over. We saw these. We saw this was the record-setting game by Amari Cooper a few weeks ago. So the cool part about this is that you get a healthy C.J. Stroud. You get a team that has Will Anderson back. We know Flacco, for the great story, arguably is in the mix for comeback player of the year. Has also thrown a lot of interceptions in his time as a starter as the Browns. So there's going to be some opportunities for the Texans to get the ball back on offense. But I like the fact that they're running the football as well too. And I think that's a key here against this Browns defense. The balance is going to be there. I will go with the Texans here and take the points.
Propstarz, any thoughts here?
Yeah, I've kind of seesawed back and forth here. Katie made a great point regarding this Cleveland Browns defense. Just hasn't been the same on the road as it has been at home. CJ Stroud, obviously familiar with a lot of these, rookie quarterbacks against the spread in their first start have really struggled. But if there was a quarterback right now that I would bank on defying expectations, it would be CJ Stroud. The fact that the Texans have 10 wins, won the division, and are even in the playoffs is just incredible to me, looking at this roster at the beginning of the season. So I'm a believer. He has definitely I was high on Stroud coming into the season, but all he's done is just exceed even the loftiest of expectations all year long. So I think doubting the Texans at this point is a dangerous game, especially we're talking about, I know Joe Flacco has brought this offense up to another level. I'm still not super confident or sold on a 43-year-old quarterback either
38.
here. 58, 68, he's a statue in the pocket, however old he is. But yeah, I just have more confidence, frankly, in CJ Stroud, even without Tank Dell. I just think this offense is humming. Yeah, give me the points. Give me the Texans at home.
I'm going to lay the points.
I was going to say, you got to think that Joe Flacco is going to start to rust a little bit.
Why? This is what I've been making this point. Like
68.
78. I mean, he's 38. His skill set isn't that different from 10 years ago. He's obviously, less athletic because trust me, you just get less athletic. But you don't necessarily, you just don't necessarily lose your entire his skill set is statuesque, can bootleg some, big arm, vertical down the field. He has thrown more interceptions this year than he did in the past, but I also think he's had to force it to a degree. And so I don't know, man. I kind of think that Joe Flacco is going to be January Joe in this spot, and he's going to come out and he's going to play really well. He knows that he's 3 wins away from another Super Bowl. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't
think
the Ravens full. Yeah.
They beat the Ravens this year without Flacco.
But on the road, all 3 games is a tough proposition for 30.
And this Ravens team has gotten.
Dude, I just
really
don't think that 38 really matters. I'm laying the points of the Browns here.
Okay.
I'm getting veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, a coaching staff in Kevin Stefanski who has been there before, a team that is playing with total house money, and a defense in Jim Schwartz who's going to get to throw a bunch of junk at a rookie quarterback making his first playoff start. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying CJ Stroud was I'm not doubting CJ Stroud. He played awesome in the playoff game in college against Georgia. Incredible. That's when I was like, oh, man, maybe I need to get on the CJ Stroud bandwagon. But I'm going to take Flacco, and I'm going to lay the points, and I think the Browns roll here. I think Cleveland can get a lead throwing against this Houston secondary and then sort of just pound the ball. And if they force I don't know that Houston's going to be able to run on them. And if they forced CJ Stroud to dropping back a ton, that is a really bad formula for a rookie quarterback against a defense this good.
I will say this quickly. Remember, they played recently in the regular season. So this is about adjustments. What we saw then, we probably won't see a lot of in this game. So who is able to make the adjustments? And that's usually side on the defensive side. You think about a defensive-minded head coach. And, for the Texans and DeMeco Ryans, it's going to be a great game. But I still like the over in this one, in addition to the Texans winning. But, yeah, remember, this is a rematch. This is the common theme for a couple of these playoff games.
Trying to find the rookie quarterbacks to make sure I didn't mess up that stat. But am I going to the next game?
Yeah, your Dolphins Chiefs.
Didn't think through that whole process of this podcast because my brain just ceased functioning. At least I only have like 42 more hits to do today. Assuming nobody else gets fired. Chiefs hosting the Dolphins. This game is, man, I'm so tempted to make a crude joke, but I'm not going to do it.
Oh.
It's just like, well, I'm not going to do it.
We want to hear it. We want to hear it, Brinson.
No.
Set it up like that, and then
I'm just saying that, like, I don't really love that they're, that NBC is shoving Peacock down our.
Okay. Yep. Here we go. I'm gonna stop you right there. Dolphins and Chiefs. Chiefs laying 3.5.
Chiefs are minus 3.5. My face is beat red. Total of 44. Of course, this is the first time Tyreek Hill has been to Arrowhead Stadium as a visitor. He was supposed to go there this year, but the NFL robbed us and sent these teams to Germany. The game was kind of boring. Tyreek Hill didn't do anything, and the Chiefs won 21-14 back in Week 9. The Dolphins are 1-5 against playoff teams this season, but I believe the Chiefs are 1-4 against playoff teams this season, which, I'm going to take the Chiefs because you're getting Andy Reid basically off a bye.
Yeah.
You're getting Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce with a week to sort of work together and get, kind of get right. And I think, this is not disparaging the Dolphins in any way, shape, or form. I think they are a really bad matchup here, or the Chiefs are a really bad matchup for them, because the one thing that the Dolphins would be able to do right now is sick Jalen Ramsey on a number one wide receiver. The Chiefs don't have that. They have Travis Kelce, and that's just. I mean, Ramsey can hang with Travis Kelce. Don't get me wrong. I don't know that he's going to shadow Travis Kelce in line, like the way they set him up. They'll move him all around to make life hard on Jalen Ramsey. You've also got a situation where the pass rushers, Van Ginkel suffered the injury on Sunday night. Bradley Chubb out. Jalen Phillips has been out. They don't have any pass rush to get home. Christian Wilkins is awesome, but it's just going to be hard to get after Patrick Mahomes. And let's not forget that, and I don't know what the splits are, so I could be wrong here, but Andy Reid has seen plenty of Vic Fangio's defenses. And so I just I think this is just it's an unfortunate spot for the Dolphins. They played so well all season, should have won the division, and instead it's like, really? The reward for this season is you have to go to Arrowhead and play the Chiefs in the wild card round of the playoffs.
In freezing temperatures, by the way, which Tua does not necessarily play well in.
Great point. Terrible weather, freezing cold. Hopefully Pete Prisco is forced to go there and sit outside and freeze his ass off. But I think the Chiefs is the way to play this for me.
I like the under. Lost in all what we saw last night, and the Josh Allen, yards and touchdowns is the fact that they only scored 21 points. So even with those injuries, this Dolphins defense showed up and played rather well. It was the offense that failed them, partly because they got away from what was working. We've seen this before with this Miami Dolphins team. Think about how easy Devon Achane had 100 yards against the Ravens. It was the easiest 100-yard game, and he just stopped running them, right? And the game got out of hand. So I still think that's the way they can, keep this one close against Kansas City. They can run the football against Kansas City. The problem is, Kansas City can also do that as well. Kansas City also has those same matchup issues up front with their defensive line that can cause pressure on Tua, which we saw happen in that game in Germany, which is why the game ended the way it did for Kansas City. And so I look at this one as this was going to be another tightly contested game. And I like the concept of putting a Jalen Ramsey on a Travis Kelce. We've seen this before. We saw this with Aqib Talib when he was lined up on Jimmy Graham. Took him completely out the game and forced Drew Brees to go elsewhere with the targets. The problem is for the Chiefs, you guys touched on it, there's no elsewhere, right? He got Rashee Rice, but now you can kind of roll coverage for his side and kind of take him away a little bit. So this is going to be a rock fight, I believe. I say take the under.
I'm leaning under.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Propstarz.
Okay, yeah, I would agree here. I'm leaning under or Chiefs here. I just think when we look at cold weather, the amount of injuries for Miami, the fact that it's a road game, I apologize, producer Harry, but this Dolphins team has just been dismal on the road, averaging 17 points per game. The Mostert and Waddle could potentially miss this game as well. That would be obviously very significant. Brinson, you mentioned the injuries on defense. They have no one to rush off the edge. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, both out as well. So just so many injuries to overcome for Miami, not to mention everything else. Chiefs offense has not been good, but, with an extra week, they essentially had a bye week, not really playing any starters here. I just think they're going to be at their best, probably running the football. They haven't been an explosive offense anyway. So that leads me towards the under here as well. But yeah, to me, it's Chiefs or under here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it's one of those things. Both of these teams have been so volatile and so unpredictable. But when it comes to the playoffs, it's almost like the devil that you do know is better than the devil that you don't know. We know what this Chiefs team can do, what Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce can do in the playoffs. And the Dolphins are still a big question mark. They have not been able to make a splash, if you will, in the playoffs in a very long time. So I feel like there's that going. And I had Tyler Sullivan on my podcast earlier today, and he said too, how many years were the Patriots kind of a bad team, and then they get into the playoffs and it's an entirely different animal. And I think with Andy Reid and with Patrick Mahomes, that's certainly something we have to look at. So I would lean on the Chiefs here as well. Yes.
Yeah, I think that to that point, this is exactly what I was going to make is like everyone is like, well, the Chiefs suck. It's over. They had a good run. Andy Reid might retire. Yeah, nice try, guys. I think it's really weird that no one is suggesting that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce could just turn it on. Like the defense stays good and they flip a switch and the offense is suddenly like much, much better. Now I realize there's not the same personnel there. It's like, the Chiefs at 9-1 to win the Super Bowl is a pretty good look. I think. I don't know, man. I mean, they were like this 9-1. They're in the playoffs. I don't know. By the way, some of these odds to win the playoffs are.
It's a different animal. It's like we have to be well coached, a quarterback that you could trust is not going to turn the ball over, and then you need a good run game. And the Chiefs have all of those three things. So
you can bet the Rams to win the Super Bowl at 50-1 right now. Like, what's the point of even betting before the season? No, I'm just saying it's like like some of these numbers are worse, but not really. I mean, the Eagles are 14-1 to win the Super Bowl. Do you know what the Steelers are to win the Super Bowl? I mean, they're in the playoffs.
75.
130-1. I don't know. I think that's kind of crazy.
You're gonna sprinkle. Okay. While you guys ponder that, we're going to take a quick break here watching the Pick Six podcast. When we get back, more Super Wild Card early leans.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Welcome back to the Pick Six podcast. We're looking at Super Wild Card Weekend. Speaking of those Steelers that you could bet right now for 130-1 to win the Super Bowl, they'll have to get through the Bills. This line has already gone up to 10. It opened at 9 last night. It's already now moved up to 10. Total 35.5. Pretty low number for a 10-point spread, which tells you everything you need to know about this Steelers offense and what is expected from them. And look, no TJ Watt, obviously a huge blow to the Steelers. If you look at the stats, and I don't have them in front of me either, of what the Steelers look like with TJ Watt versus
1 in 10 without TJ Watt.
Yeah, and it's like they allow 19 points a game or like 27 points a game. Like it's a huge. So I have no problem laying the double digits with the Bills if Josh Allen cannot turn the ball over, which They wouldn't have won if Tua didn't screw up more than Josh Allen. They would have lost that game.
Well, yeah, and ifs and ands.
Like I worry about Josh
Indian
Allen
nuts
moving
or
forward
whatever the hell the
because
saying
how
is.
many of these quarterbacks, when you get later on, are making this amount of mistakes that Josh Allen makes?
I don't know. I think in this, like, Josh Allen is definitely pressing a little bit. I do think, and I sort of espoused this theory on at some point earlier today or last night, but it feels like the Bills were playing sort of like we're in the, it's like this, we're in playoff mode for the last month plus. The Jaguars choke, the Bills get into the playoffs, and then they kind of treated last night as like a YOLO divisional championship game instead of treating it like, I think Josh Allen and the Bills would have played substantially better if they were fighting for their playoff lives. Like, instead of just, okay, we're in, what seed are we going to be? It's, we're either in or out. You know what I mean? Going into that game. I think that sort of eased their mind a little bit. I think they ratcheted it back up for this game, like the Bills, to blow out the Steelers. I know the total is low, so that is concerning, but you saw that graphic that Harry put up. Well, I think it's 7 seeds are winless in the expanded playoff, 0-6 in the current format. And there's a reason why. These are teams that normally wouldn't be playoff teams. Like, the Steelers are only in the playoffs because the Jaguars could not handle their business and lost 5 or 6 games. The Steelers don't. Nobody wants the Steelers in the playoffs. Nobody wanted the Steelers in the playoffs. They're Magic Bean City. Check it, chat. Obviously, drink. And I don't think that they're going to be able to produce enough offense to keep up with the Bills. And with no TJ Watt, this is a different defense. The Bills will have their way. They will get enough. They will get it to like 17-0 and just python the Steelers and maybe turn them over. I think they'll cover. I don't love it because there's a 10-point spread, but to me, it's Buffalo or nothing here.
Give me the Steelers and the points. I think the run game of Pittsburgh, they can run the ball, and they have 2 good backs, and they have 2 good receivers, and they have ability to hit the big play. Sounds a lot like Buffalo, right? And in this sense, even without TJ Watt, it's not like the Bills are playing lights out offensively. They needed an 80 or 98-yard punt return last night to really win this game. You take that away, that game is tied because Josh Allen had those red zone turnovers. And what we know about the Steelers, they've been doing well in forcing turnovers as of late. This game is going to be a lot closer than people think. These 2 teams are very much similar in a lot of ways. The difference, Buffalo clearly has a better quarterback.
You think?
Then Mason Rudolph.
but who's playing? They're about playing the same, right? If Mason Rudolph hasn't really turned the ball over, right? Allen's athleticism gives them a bit of an edge. But 10 points with the way Josh Allen can turn the ball over against a defense is obviously going to overcompensate for a TJ Watt's absence. But the best way you do that is by running the ball, and we know the Steelers will do a great job of using the time against Buffalo. So I like this one to be interesting and be close. So I'm taking the Steelers plus points here.
I'm sure our CBS bosses hope that you are correct. This is the only action we got on TV this weekend, and that stinks. They're like, why Miami? Why?
Steelers have got good tight ends. Like
I think the TJ Watt thing is so big, and it's just not like that defense goes as TJ Watt goes. And I mean, 1 in 10 without TJ Watt is pretty crazy.
I mean, win. So now what about when the right guard is? So we now wins and lost to right guards, and we sound like these people, the quarterback wins.
Hey, wins are edge rusher stat. Everybody knows that, Emory.
I would opine that 9.5, 10 points is a lot of points, especially in the playoffs with a low total. I'm personally not confident enough in Mason Rudolph-led offense to back Pittsburgh here, but I understand Emory, the logic here with 10 points in this playoff game with a 35.5 point total. I would also argue that this Buffalo defense has really improved. Midseason, they were really cratering. They've gotten a lot better, gotten a bit healthier too on the defensive line. So I think Buffalo's defense could be a little bit of a difference maker here. But yeah, just a tough spot. It's essentially a bye week, in my opinion, for Buffalo. I think they're just going to be hyper conservative like they have been under Joe Brady. A lot of James Cook running the football, not really put Josh Allen at risk. I think they just control this game from start to finish.
Is this total too low then? If you guys think that the Steelers can.
Do you guys know what this total opened at?
40.
What?
I thought it was. I read it was. I'm trying to confirm this. I read this opened at 43, but that can't be possible.
That's
right?
way too
That's
high.
quite the drop.
I've seen it on numerous places have suggested that.
Unless
Really?
there's other thing in Buffalo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's see what the Buffalo. Oh man.
Weather.
Oh, well, that's why.
Yeah.
Saturday, Buffalo weather currently tracking for 33 mile per hour wind.
Ooh.
And a bunch of snow.
We've seen that when the Ravens played them up there where that wind was like insane. You know? So that's probably why that total dropped. So there's actually a ton of wind forecast for Thursday, a bunch of precipitation forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Saturday is supposed to be a bunch of snow, and Sunday and Monday are a bunch of wind. So it's like almost impossible to. Does it actually make sense? Then it would go from 43 to 35, and I think the one issue. All right, so just to, touch on this too. Like we talked about this with that Bears game where I was like, I love the under in this one because of the weather, and then it was like a beautiful sunny day.
Right.
I think that. Oh yeah, we're supposed to get crazy wind and weather here too, like tornadoes and stuff tomorrow. Lovely. I think that this looks like such a lengthy amount of heavy Buffalo winter weather that you don't, unless you see something on like Wednesday where it's like it's going to be clear and sunny, you don't want to mess around with that total and let it sort of like, I think it's already moved too much. The under was definitely a great play there. The fact that the spread hasn't moved, I think, is really interesting.
Yes.
Because if the Bills can get a lead, then it is trouble time for Mason Rudolph. If Mason Rudolph has to drop back with a deficit while trailing a bunch of times in bad Buffalo weather against a good defense, that's a real problem. But to your point, Emory, if you think they can run and their defense can play better and keep it close, then that's a good thing. And I would just add to the full stats for the TJ Watt thing. I'm just giving the win losses because they're out there on the sheet, not because I actually believe they're a thing. 69, 33, and 2 with TJ Watt. They give up 19.8 points per game and an average 3.3 sacks per game when Watt is playing. Without TJ Watt, 1-10, 26.3 points per game and 1.5 sacks per game. And so I'm not like saying that they're going to lose because of TJ Watt. He's just that big of an impact player. I
just got my Emory Hunt analytics here too. Here's some numbers for you. The Bills last year in a playoff snow game, 0-1, and that was against the Bengals. So Josh Allen in the snow in a playoff game. I don't know, man. Like the numbers. The numbers.
I had the Bengals winning that game. I mean, the Bills were dead man walking. That's actually, let's rephrase that. The Bills were not intrigued and trying hard in that game.
Last point I would make real quick, though. I do feel like Emory has a good point regarding Pittsburgh being built to play in inclement weather or the snow. Najee Harris is quietly playing very well. We know Jalen Warren is playing very well as well in the backfield. So both Pittsburgh running backs and the offensive line have made drastic improvements as the season's progressed.
No doubt about it.
All right, so this might be a more interesting game than we thought.
Yeah. You should watch it. It'll be on CBS and Paramount Plus. Packers at the Cowboys. Cowboys -7.5. This line opened at 7. Packers catching a little bit of juice. The total has ticked up about 2 points, I think, up to 50.5. I think it was like 49.5 previously. I think that obvious narrative here. Mike McCarthy revenge game against the team that fired him. Also, the Cowboys, it feels like the Packers for years have had the Cowboys number in the playoffs. I guess everybody's had the Cowboys number in the playoffs because they haven't been in the NFC Championship game since 96. 9th time meeting in the playoffs in NFL history, the tie for the most common matchup. And of course, the Cowboys have been to the playoffs 12 times without making it to the conference championship game. Back in 1996, Jerry Jones allegedly, he says he did. He said he prayed. Well, he claims he prayed to the higher power. I think we all know he was talking to, Beelzebub. And he said, if you give me this win, I will never ask you for another title again. Satan's like, cool, Jerry, you're an idiot. You're going to live for another 100 years and you're never going to win a Super Bowl. And here we are. The buzz, too, by the way, is that Mike McCarthy could get fired if he loses this game, especially if Bill Belichick was interested in coming to Dallas, which is a spicy bomb. Yeah. I like
your Tuesday bomb.
Yeah, I like the no, I think this would be like a Belichick is gone with New England, but bides his time and then the Cowboys lay an egg. Belichick's like, I'll take the Dallas job.
I can't imagine Belichick and Jerry getting along very well.
Well, remember, Jerry hired Bill Parcells.
Jerry likes to control his coaches, and I don't think you could do that with Billy B.
Well, Jerry's the GM. It would solve the problem because Jerry is not really the GM. Like Stephen Jones and Will McClay do all the work, and then Belichick could come in. I think it's been bandied about a lot, and so I think it's just something to keep on your radar. If the Cowboys win this game, toss all that out. I mean, I think they'll be safe, maybe. But I like the Packers in the spot catching a full touchdown and a half with this big total. Dallas has been great at home, but I think Green Bay is capable, assuming they get healthy enough, especially with Aaron Jones playing well. Prop, you're nodding your head. I think you might like these skill position guys too. And Christian Watson back, they should be able to score against this Cowboys team, even though this is Jordan Love's first playoff game.
I would tend to agree, Brinson. I think there's two things working in Green Bay's favor. First and foremost, I think Dallas's defense may be very fraudulent. If we look at their defense, if we take out the top offenses that are ranked outside of the top 20 in DVOA, their defense is allowing 26 points per game. So they have not performed well at all. The strength of their defense is also the pass rush. We know Micah Parsons, they get quick pressure. This Green Bay offensive line has performed extremely well. Second in pass block win rate, fifth in adjusted sack rate as well. So Green Bay's offensive line has been exceptional. It's been a large part of their success, the reason they've been able to be successful despite all the injuries they've had at their skill position players. Jordan Love's obviously playing well as well. So I like the over, and I think if we get 7.5 points, it's hard to ignore Green Bay here. So I like Green Bay a bit as well. And again, I like the game to be high scoring, so it makes sense the total's high.
31-17 Cowboys, and you lay the points with Dallas and you take the under. That's my play. I like the fact that this matchup is going to be this Dallas passing game against that Packers secondary and that defense. And for me, it's just about how Dallas is throwing the football. It's intermediate, deep, and they're connecting. Dak is doing a great job this year.
Dak's been awesome.
Just fantastic throwing the football. And on the other side, the fact that their defense is built to play against a team like Green Bay. Because of the personnel, they have good receivers. I think this favors the matchup on the other side with Dallas's ability to play off and really drive on the ball. Is going to force Jordan Love to really be consistent in his decisions and where he places the football. He's been great down the stretch.
Yep.
That's a matchup where if you allowing Dallas to play off without really beating those guys and they just react and drive on the ball, that's a win for their defense. And I will say this, in terms of Mike McCarthy, I know he gets a lot of flack, but he is a fantastic coach. And if it wasn't for one of the greatest throws in playoff history, the Cowboys beat the Packers in Dak's rookie year. And I will go to my grave saying that they would have gone to the Super Bowl with a rookie Dak and a rookie Zeke Elliott. It was on fire that year. Just Aaron Rodgers made an unbelievable throw to win that ball game. So I like Dallas. I think they right.
Who was the tight end on the receiving end?
I see it. He played with Tennessee. He played with New Orleans. I called him tender forearms before. I can't remember his name, but I see him.
Was it Jermichael Finley?
No, it wasn't Finley. It was someone else.
It's
Jared Cook.
Jared Cook?
It was Jared Cook on the side.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was thinking it was Jermichael and it was Jared Cook. Yeah.
It was Cook.
Yeah. I mean, I can picture that throw, just to your point, that throw, I can picture where I was Like I can picture the room around me at my old house where I was seeing that there, and you're just like, what the F did Aaron Rodgers just do? Like on the left sideline deep, like it's like 26 yards or 20, I want to say it's 22-yard pass or something like that. But you're just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Incredible throw.
A centimeter off.
First of all,
it's over.
yeah, shout out to the Green Bay Packers, though. First year without Aaron Rodgers, making the playoffs. Look at where the Jets were. I know that, Aaron Rodgers got injured, but it seems like they're sitting pretty here. Jordan Love, the 6th quarterback all time with 18+ pass touchdowns and 0 or 1 interception in the final 8 games of the season. Packers 6-2 in their last 8 games. But I still am going to lay the points with the Cowboys here, and I do think, to your point, Propstarz, that maybe this defense can be a bit fraudulent, but they are so good at home. And I know that the MVP award is going to Lamar Jackson, but what Dak did just this weekend was incredible. I still think that he should be in the conversation for that, and so I think that the Packers are out of this game, and I think that the Cowboys win by a touchdown plus. All right, moving on here, talking about this one's a very interesting game to me. The Rams at the Lions. Lions laying 3.5. This total 51.5. Obviously, the Jared Goff versus Matt Stafford game. We could go through in some of these stats about how they do against each other. But yeah, Rams traded Jared Goff. They basically just gave Jared Goff away. He was like a gimme with everything else, trying to get Matt Stafford. He's done very well for himself with Detroit. Obviously, LA won the Super Bowl. Nobody thought that LA was going to be that great this year. And now they're looking like one of the scariest teams in the playoff picture, certainly from the NFC. As a Niners fan, that's the one team I don't want to see. And I feel like we might actually see them in the divisional round, because I think that the Rams are going to win this game against Detroit. Detroit's secondary has too many problems, too many holes, too big of a pass funnel to go up against someone like Matthew Stafford. And Matt Stafford obviously knows the field very well. He plays in domes very well. And you got Puka, and you got Cooper Kupp, and you got Kyron Williams. And yes, I do think that Goff and the Detroit offense can put up some big numbers. I'm going Rams on this one. I'll lay that 3.5, or so plus a 3.5.
Yeah. Rams. No, you catch the 3.5. Are you kidding me? It should be Rams -1. Detroit's
Rams
awesome.
Money line. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Rams are going to win this game. Look, Matthew, it sucks because when the Rams had their playoff run and the Super Bowl run, Lions fans were happy for Matthew Stafford. We're cheering for him. We're excited for him. We're like encouraging him. And now he's going to go in there. But this is Matthew Stafford's first playoff game in Detroit. He played there 12 years. This is his first time ever playing in a playoff game in Detroit. It's his first time playing in Detroit since he was traded. The golf factor is a thing for sure. But, man, the Rams are just – and look,
but
I know y'all – I mean,
Goff or Stafford?
Stafford. And look, I mean, like, I don't want to say I've been right all along about the Rams, but, man, have I been right all along about the Rams. Like I said 6 or 7 weeks ago – He's going to get one of those votes for sure. I said 6 or 7 weeks ago, the Rams are getting hot. You better watch out. They are going to be a problem in the NFC, and they have ripped off wins. The only loss, I think, since that time is the overtime loss in Baltimore. Stafford's playing incredible football, and this is not like a case where, like, he's played great in playoff games. This is not a case where he's going into Detroit and be like, oh, no, like, I'm really nervous. No, like, he thinks he can win another Super Bowl. Like, that's – I mean, if they win, they're going to probably have to play the Niners. So it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. Winning Super Bowl never is. But they just beat the Niners. I know preseason guys. They beat them in the playoffs before. Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay believe they can win a Super Bowl this year with the way that the NFC has shook out. The Bucs, the Eagles, very beatable. I think they think they can take the Cowboys, the Lions, and the 49ers. So, like, I think they're going to be playing loose, fast, and you're going to see Stafford whip some balls around the field.
They've won 7 of 8 games since the bye week, averaging 31 points per game, second in DVOA over that stretch as well. So this offense is absolutely humming. Meanwhile, Detroit suffered some serious injuries yesterday. Sam Laporta is going to miss this game, as well as Khalif Raymond. That makes this Lions pass offense a lot more one-dimensional, in my opinion. We also know Sean McVay has a lot of experience with Jared Goff. So I think he's going to be really well equipped to slow him down as well, really key in on the running backs, force Jared Goff to have to beat them, not having to worry about weather as well, in my opinion, is advantage Rams, or at least neutral there. So I think the Rams look really good getting 3.5 points here as well.
I thought you were initially saying, in my opinion, they won't have to worry about weather. I was like, that's a bold take. I like that.
In the dome.
As Harry notes, Dan Campbell did say there's an outside chance Laporta could play this week. It's worth doing. And look, like I do think every one of the things that I would be at least a little, because it's easy to get hyped about the Rams. I knew I was going to do it. I mean, there's no question about it. The coaching angle here, I agree. Sean McVay will be able to. Raheem Morris interviewing for some stuff, but you got Ben Johnson interviewing as well. So there's a lot of interest in all these coaching staffs. I think Raheem Morris and Sean McVay can definitely mess up Jared Goff, but Sean McVay is not afraid to get conservative in the playoffs, and Dan Campbell is hyper aggressive. And I think if the Lions get their fourth down stuff going, you could see that potentially flip it. And no question, this could be a close game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I like the under more than anything. And to be completely honest, Matt Stafford is playing better this year than he did when they won the Super Bowl. Because we all know, and here's the context, if homeboy catches the interception, they don't get to the Super Bowl. And Stafford's interception.
And nuts and candy and butts. I mean, what?
Right, but we haven't
You're talking about the Niners NFC Championship game?
Yes. If he catches the pick, we don't hear about this. We don't try to, rewrite history with Stafford in his time in Detroit, because Stafford was a liability to close out games in Detroit, which is why Stafford's interceptions were still a thing prop wise, outside of the season.
He used to be my favorite bet.
Right. And so anymore. Now without listen, I wouldn't, if I'm Laporte, I know you want to get out there in the playoff game and push it, but man, that looked ugly and how his leg bent awkwardly. And now, that's a significant part of their offense. And so, yes, you can key on the running backs. You can key on Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they run the same doggone type of concepts. I mean, I know Ben Johnson is being made the head coach candidate of the cycle, and because he does motion and play action, and they throw the little mid-level crosser, like insert Puka Nacua for Amon-Ra St. Brown. They run the same offense, same play. So it's gonna be. That's why I think it's gonna be under. These guys know each other's offenses. And defensively, can Hutchinson continue to get pressure? Can he be active at the line of scrimmage like he really is, where he gets a lot of batted balls? Because that's going to be key and to help protect that secondary, because they're not going to be able to slow down Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp in these over routes. So I just don't see it happening. But I do like the under. I think we'll see them, get a lead and slowly start put the brakes on their offense in this game, and they could win this game 20-13. That helps us cash as under. You know what I'm saying?
That would be. I think that would be a surprise if it was 20-13. But I mean, I'm not saying it can't be. We've seen plenty of games here. I think you'll see the most of the money on the over in this game. But I don't hate the under at 51.5. It's just like there's so many big play weapons for this. The one other thing that sort of stands out in my mind about this game is Lions offensive line so good. But I don't care if you have the Cowboys offensive line from the 1990s. If Aaron Donald decides on a given Sunday or given Saturday that he is going to turn into a wrecking ball engulfed in flames and just destroy you, he's going to do, what I mean? Like, maybe they can double team him. Maybe they can do all that. I think this Rams. I think Aaron Donald, he had a great season, but not like the Aaron Donald season. I think people sleeping on him a little bit as well. Wouldn't be surprised if you just went bananas. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, anticipation play time next.
When you need your sports news anywhere,
We've got breaking news to bring you.
then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Time now for the segment where we give you a bet that you should lock in early before the line moves to get you some closing line value. We'll also do one better and try to predict where that line is going. It's time now for our anticipation plays. This anticipation play segment is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Emory, what's moving?
Cowboys right now are at -7.5. I think by the time we get the kickoff, -6.5. Because again, we're doing this show on a Monday, so that means we got a full week of Jordan Love stories. They're gonna go back to Utah State. They're gonna show Aaron Rodgers, and they're gonna show Jordan Love working with the receivers. They're gonna have the clips from the sideline. So they're gonna help bring down this number at least another point, where people start to believe the Packers really got a shot to pull off the upset, which they do, because they can throw, and Jordan Love has like the quietest 30+ touchdown passes in the season. But I think we see this one drop a full point by kickoff.
Propstarz.
I'll take the under in the Bucs-Eagles game. It's currently 43, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound correct?
Actually 44, and it's
44.
trending 44 juiced under on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think this one ticks down here. Just having watched this game when they played earlier in the season, the Eagles really dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. I really think if the Eagles are going to be successful here, we're just going to see them hyper-conservative, kind of limit the amount of dropbacks for Jalen Hurts, really just lean on running the football here. Bucks, Baker Mayfield banged up, hasn't been really good in these big game spots either. I just don't see really either offense is really generating a lot of explosive plays. So I like the under in this quite a bit. I think this one ticks down a couple points.
So I had the Bills originally at 9.5 going to 10. That's already happened. It's already moved to 10. So I anticipated it a little bit too early. Now, after everything that we discussed with this weather, I think it might tick back down to 9.5. I think people might start throwing 10 points at the Steelers.
Uno reverse?
I'm doing a reverse. Yeah. I don't think
Uno
this line
reverse
goes
your
up
anticipation
more.
play.
Well, because what I anticipated already happened. So I'm already doing
No,
good on that.
You get credit for putting your anticipation play in more than 15 seconds ahead of giving it out like I do.
Yeah.
I'm giving you all the credit.
It did go to 10. It did go to 10. And now after, I don't think it goes higher to 10.5 given the weather and everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's 10. People look at the weather, they start hammering the Steelers, and maybe it goes back down under double digits. So yeah, we're doing.
I think you're right across the board there. I'm going to stay in the same game. I do think. I mean, I'll give out just. I think that the Rams will cross 3. Like, it's that to me. That game is going to close 2.5 to. It's already plus 3.5 is minus 120. So they're trying to get to 3. Although the fact that it hasn't moved significantly is really interesting. I think they may be waiting to see on those injuries. Like Khalif Raymond and Sam Laporta matter for this Lions offense for sure. I think this Bills under, which has already moved like 8 points, is going to move more. Yeah. We're talking. I mean, look, a heavier run, a heavier shift.
Hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. Like a heavier shift to running the ball for Buffalo. You're gonna if it's 30+ mile per hour winds, and I guess this is sort of goes back to the Bears when it's like keep an eye on the weather because this line is going to move one way or another. If this weather is as bad as it looks, it's going to tick down to 33.5, something like that. And if it magically clears up, which is unlikely in Buffalo in January, then you could maybe see this thing shoot back up a little bit. But I think it keeps ticking down just based on my 2 years of taking weather and climate in college. Thank you very much. If you don't pass it the first time, you have to take it a second time. All right, this anticipation play segment has been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. I made every moment more in my weather and climate class.
Sure you
Eagles minus 2.5 at the Buccaneers. See a little juice on Philadelphia. This actually opened. I thought I saw some 1.5s, and it quickly shot up to 2.5. See the totals at 44, as Alex mentioned. Juice to the under. Could certainly see that coming down with the way that these two offenses have been playing. This is, for me, pretty, like, I'm a little worried that it's going to get too chalky and too obvious and too public to take the Buccaneers here. But I don't see how you can take. I see how you can take the Eagles. The Buccaneers have scored. They scored 9 points against the Panthers yesterday. Like that wasn't very good. It wasn't like it was bad weather. It was just they couldn't do anything. Offense looked awful against the Saints. They were running hot there. Dave Canales is getting mentioned in head coaching stuff. And then all of a sudden they go ice cold and, really flirted with giving up the division to the Saints by the way they played against the Panthers on Sunday. You can throw on Philly. I don't know how well they'll be able to run on Philly, but it's like, dude, Matt Patricia, since he took over, has been so terrible calling this defense for the Eagles. They should Baker and Mike really for the
Mike
Bucks.
Evans.
They've got away from Mike Evans, and I think they need to lean into him in this game. Take some deep shots down the field against this questionable Philly secondary, and I like Philly's. Jalen Hurts is hurt. AJ Brown is hurt. They have been awful. They just lost to the Cardinals and the Giants in back-to-back games as double-digit favorites in both games, and they are now, or maybe they weren't double-digit, whatever. You get the point. But they really could have lost like 7 of their last 8. The only thing that scares me is that I think everybody's going to be on Tampa Bay to win this game outright.
Yeah, and especially when you factor in the dislocated finger on his throwing hand, like it's just weird.
Oof.
That was nasty.
It was gross looking, and you wonder
AJ Brown.
grip strength in terms of him throwing that football against his Bucks defense. But the good part about Philly, and maybe these genius coaches figure it out, when you're able to run the ball, stick with it. It alleviates a lot of the issues that you have in throwing the ball. So for me, that's going to be the way they could, I think, kind of win this ball game. So I'm going to lay these points because it's a small enough spread. Eagles are, the better team, although they're not playing like it. And Will touched on it, how just egregious Tampa looked against New Orleans, which set the table for what we saw with the Saints and Falcons. And then they go out there and struggle to score touchdowns against Carolina. So I don't know how you can trust the teams here. Maybe the under is probably a great play too, but I will lean toward the Eagles and take them to win this game.
Hard to inspire a lot of confidence in the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Things have gone from bad to worse. I was on Early Edge yesterday previewing all these games, talking about how I felt this locker room has splintered, and that seems to be the case. That being said, I do think there is a big talent advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles, especially in the trenches on both sides of the football. They should be able to dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. But we're just watching them, and then their actual application of said talent just hasn't lined up. But hopefully they get their act together. They are a significantly more talented team. There are some serious injuries, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, but also Devontae Smith is iffy for this game. Sidney Brown, the rookie who had a 99-yard interception return last week, is going to be out for this game as well. We know this Eagles pass defense has really struggled, but just hard to have a lot of confidence in Baker Mayfield, who's just not shown up in big games. He's banged up as well. The Bucs can't run the football whatsoever, so really there's just two teams that are probably the two worst teams that have made the playoffs, or at least as far as how they're playing right now compared to how they were at their peak performance. So probably going to be ugly. That's why I really like the under here as my best bet in this particular game, but I do lean Eagles on the under.
If the Eagles were playing anyone else in the wild card, I would take anybody else. But the fact that it's the Buccaneers and they only put up 9 points against Carolina last week is the biggest question mark. Now, you all have already hit on this. Obviously, the Eagles' pass defense has been a problem all season long. So if Baker can get something going with, with Mike Evans or some other guys, then maybe. But I'm interested to see if the Eagles lose this game and they are a first round bounce out after starting 10-1. People are going to start looking at Nick Sirianni here, and it's not a fan base that takes losing kindly. You lost 2 of your coordinators. Yeah, what were we going to say?
He's gone if they lose this game, Katie.
Oh, yeah. He's gone.
Sirianni's gone if he loses this game.
They were in the Super Bowl last year.
He's gone if they lose this game.
No way.
He is gone. I'll bet it right here with you, Brinson. He is gone if they lose this game.
If they fired Nick Sirianni a year after being in the Super Bowl, that would be objectively insane.
He's gone if they lose this game.
Okay.
Philly,
Well,
He's lost the locker room. He's lost the locker room. I don't think he can get it back. And if they lose this game, if they crater to the point where they have in the regular season, and then it coincides with a loss to Tampa Bay, who they absolutely dominated 6 or 7 weeks ago, just controlled the line of scrimmage, just sucked the air out of the football, and they lose to this same Bucs team who's playing this poorly, he's gone.
I want to say something here, and I know that we're like running up against our allotted time or whatever, but
yes. Philly
fans need to get a grip because the idea, this team, this would be like me, like NC State winning a national championship and then winning like 7 games the next season. Maybe like fire, getting to the national championship, like fire Dave Doran. Like, this is outrageous. We're better than this. Like, the Eagles fans were wandering through a hellscape wilderness for forever. Like, I mean, they won a bunch, but never broke through. They win a Super Bowl in 2017, and now they're like the new Boston fans. Like, Philly has become the new Boston. It's like, well, this guy went 11-4. How dare he? Or what? 11? Are they 11-6? What are they? Whatever the hell they are. They cratered.
They're 10-7. Are they 11-6 or 10-7?
11-6. Because their win total was 11.5, and they were.
Everyone
under.
thought I was crazy, and Brinson for taking the under on the Eagles' season win total. And look where we
definitely thought it was crazy when they were 10-1, and they still cashed. If you had the over on the Eagles and it's 10-1, you lost over 11.5. You're so bad right now.
He should have won the last 2 games. Yeah.
Yes, but the whole point is like if they fire Nick Sirianni, and I think Nick Sirianni has his foibles, and he definitely rankles people the wrong way, and he's intense as hell. But the dude had him in the Super Bowl last year. If they fire him a year after being in the Super Bowl, it's crazy.
And then the coordinators left. I mean, I don't think he's going to get fired. I mean, Props knows that's his team. I think people are going to have to take his serious look at him with what went wrong when you're a Super Bowl contender, could have won the Super Bowl. There were some questionable calls and field and whatnot last year. And then you go to the season that you're having now. There's going to be questions about
if you make the Super Bowl and follow it up with an 11-win season and get fired, no one should take that job. Because what are you supposed to do?
You're right. Yeah, an 11-win season. You're right. There is that. Okay, we do
Belichick
have to
Philadelphia.
Go here. Wow, that would be wild. All right, guys, make sure that you tune in with us all week long for more NFL coverage. Tomorrow, Brinson, Breach, and Wilson are joined by Pete Prisco to make some bold predictions for the NFL postseason. I want to know what Pete Prisco thinks about Trevor Lawrence, and I'm sure you will get that out of him tomorrow. One last reminder, guys, to show us. Oh, yes, Emory Hunt, one last thing.
Just to satisfy the fans in the chat, I'm taking Washington plus the points at Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Harbaugh blows out Washington. Jimmy blows out Washington, wins a national title for his alma mater, and then goes to him and heads back to the NFL.
The Bears. And it goes to the Bears.
Also, just really quick. No, Harbs is going to the Chargers, I think. Jim Harbaugh took over the 49ers. I yelled about this on radio earlier, and I swear I'll keep this quick. But like, Jim Harbaugh took over the 49ers. They hadn't had a winning season since 2002. I think he took over in 2010.
The same team over. Yeah.
He went to the NFC Championship game, the Super Bowl, back to the NFC Championship game, and then like to sort of tie this in with Sirianni, they're like, well, 8-8, you're gone. It's like, what are we?
No, but he was a cancer. He was toxic.
Trip Hawkins.
There was a lot of problems.
Kid lost the locker room, which is going to be what's happened in Philadelphia as well.
We'll see.
It's a spicy take. All right, guys, show us some love, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on the YouTube page, and we'll see you next time. Peace.